battleships. Their gigantic guns can hurl deadly projectiles the weight of an automobile against targets more than 20 miles away. They are still among the fastest, largest, and most powerful warships ever to sail the world's oceans. Deep inside the armored hull, men program critical data into a sophisticated central nervous system. Its origins date to the last century. At their command, the guns fire with fearful accuracy. For 100 years, proud symbols of the world's mightiest nations. Great fighting machines that had no equal. Home to that special breed of fighting man, the battleship sailor. Victors and victims in the war at sea. On their decks have unfolded many a turning point in the history of the 20th century. The battleship, long thought unsinkable, indestructible, until the morning of December 7, 1941, when at Pearl Harbor, her mastery of the sea seemed over, eclipsed by the terrible power and accuracy of carrier-based aircraft. Yet she reappears in Korea and Vietnam. And 50 years after the premature report of her death at Pearl Harbor, her weapons echo across the waters of the Persian Gulf. Once again, the battleship is back. This is her story. The 2nd of August, 1990. Iraq's invasion of Kuwait has been met with a swift response. A coalition of Western and Arab nations has created a massive buildup of armament in Saudi Arabia. President George Bush issues a final ultimatum to the Iraqi president: withdraw from Kuwait or face overwhelming force. As 1991 begins, the United States adds the final weapons to the coalition's arsenal. 2 of America's aging battleships will answer the call. For months, the USS Missouri has been making preparations for her 3rd war. Her firepower has been modernized as she prepares to join her sister, the battleship Wisconsin, already in the Gulf. 16 January, Iraq ignores the coalition's ultimatum. 17 January, 1:40 a.m., the crew of the Missouri is at General Quarters.
Execute launch sequence.
Missouri Captain Lee Case.
The Tomahawks, of course, were the first ones launched in the war, and this was the first time that the battleship Missouri entered the modern age with modern weapons. We had never had the opportunity to fire those before, and every one of them worked as advertised.
And the Missouri's basic armament, her 50-year-old 16-inch guns, were fired in anger for the first time since the Korean War. The target was the port city of Khafji, Saudi Arabia. To get within range, the Missouri moved into the shallows. There were only 3 feet of water beneath her keel. Lee Case.
Well, when the big guns were fired in anger for the first time during the Gulf War, a cheer could be heard from one end of the ship to the other. You could hear over the sound-powered phones the excitement of all the people in the plotting rooms. The turret that got to fire the first round, I think, was probably the big heroes of the day at that particular time.
Later, when the ground war to recapture Kuwait began, the Missouri pounded away with her big guns to support the soldiers and Marines ashore. She fired one 16-inch round every 15 seconds, 9 guns firing in rotation, reloaded in under 1 minute per barrel. In just 2 hours, the Missouri had fired 133 rounds. Not bad for an aging lady. But one of the Missouri's most effective new weapons never fired a shot. The RPVs, or remotely piloted vehicles, were the Missouri's own spotters, like the battleship float planes of old. The miniature aircraft featured two camera systems, one for day, the other infrared for night viewing, when they could be most effective. The RPVs were 14 feet long, their wingspan 17 feet. Their computerized controls were operated by a pilot inside the battleship's superstructure. Rocket launched to an altitude of 200 feet in less than 2 seconds, the plane's two-cycle engine then took over. Over the enemy target, the RPV sends pictures and coordinates back to the ship. The pictures are fed into the closed-circuit TV system. An Iraqi food truck stops at a series of bunkers along a road. It is spotted by the cameras of the unheard RPV 1,500 feet above. The positions are fed into the Missouri's computer, and when the big guns fire, they are precisely on target. Proof positive that the 50-year-old big guns can still do their work. For Lee Case, the RPV was the perfect airborne spotter.
So there was a perfect blend of the old and new on board Missouri in the Gulf War, and both the old and the new contributed to our success.
The USS Missouri fights on. America's most historic battleship, the newest technology now grafted to her aging body. Like her battleship sisters, she was born to another time, another place. Far from the Persian Gulf, off the Hawaiian island of Oahu, is the watery graveyard of another great battleship. The remains of some 900 American sailors and Marines still lie within her twisted wreck. The battleship Arizona rests quietly below the peaceful waters of Pearl Harbor. Oil still escapes from her tanks. This was once a living ship, forever doomed on the morning of December 7, 1941. Dick Fisk was the bugler on the USS West Virginia.
I sounded first call around 5 minutes to 8 for colors. We were looking towards the Arizona and then towards the two mountains there, and then we saw a group of airplanes coming in, and we thought that they were ours.
Dan Martinez is an historian